Hey guys, Dave and Len here. We just played I.C.B.M. from Mayfair Games. I don't know if this was released in the late 70s, early 80s or whatever. It's a Neil Zimmerer game. He was a game designer who lived a few miles from where we're at right now in Chicago. He's no longer with us, but he's made quite a few games and stuff, and they're all simple and easy to play and fun, so that's why I really like his games. This one's about, as you can imagine, nuclear war between the U.S. and Soviets. Essentially, each side has anti-ballistic missiles to shoot missiles down or missiles to launch and destroy enemy cities. And a missile has a duration, a strength factor, and the number of spaces it moves per turn. And so, like if it has a duration of 4, it can stay in the air for 4 turns, which sounds normal, but the only bad thing about that, this didn't happen in this game that we played, but if you get playing with someone who's a goofball, I mean, they could essentially have their missiles go in circles around the board if they wanted, because of the duration. So you're not obligated to go straight towards the target you're going at. You can move kind of the side and turn, you know, kind of like if you were in an airplane instead of a missile, which is kind of weird, but overall the game's alright. Actually, it's pretty good. The game we just played, I think I had a minor victory. The U.S. destroyed a few more strength points than the Russians, but overall, this type of game essentially is mutually assured destruction. So even though it says I won, in reality, both the Soviet Union, all of their cities got hit by nukes, and all of the American cities got hit by nukes. So as far as I'm concerned, even though I got a marginal victory, that's really just total destruction on both sides. There's something I didn't like about the game. One thing, I mean, it's a simple abstract game, but there's only cities as targets, and it feels like there should also be military targets. The military targets they did have, I guess, were other I.C.B.M. sites. But in reality, if there's like some big military base in Russia that has hosts 3 armored divisions or something, probably an I.C.B.M., one of its warheads is going to be aimed at it. Same with the U.S., some of its military bases would have been targets. And then they probably should have had submarines in this too, because the submarine launched ballistic missiles, I would assume, would be launched at the same time and stuff, whereas they didn't have any submarines at all in this, so that's something it missed out on. But overall, it's all right. What'd you think of it, Len?
Okay, actually, I was thinking, how many submarines do they have out? Because submarines were designed to be first strike weapons, and they were supposed to be like the first wave. So, and even with the Polaris missiles and the larger boomers, I don't think I think the land-based ones, there's far greater ratio. So maybe, you know, you could skip on the submarines.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds like they've always been very important, so who knows, but...
Okay, one problem I have with the duration is keeping track. Now, I managed to do it by shooting them off in clusters with the same type of missile. So that can get a little confusing. One thing, actually, in real life, when you launch an I.C.B.M., you know what the target is. And this one, you go, okay, Seattle's nukes, so I'll send them.
I'll change direction.
Yeah, I'll change direction. Go for San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which
actually be a lot more fun. Actually, a lot more accurate, but it'll be a lot of more work. And I was thinking you'd have to write a target sheet, which missile is going there, and then follow it. So
this would actually make a really good computer war game, in my opinion. If I was to make a war game similar to this, I think it would turn out pretty reasonable.
And then you could order each missile to a target, and things like if Philadelphia gets nuked ahead of time, well, the other 2 heading that way, well, that's a wasted shot. More radioactivity. But actually, it's overall, it's a simple, playable game.
Yeah. Well, one other thing I wanted to mention, each turn, except for the first turn, you roll to see how many of your I.C.B.Ms you can launch. The ones in the air you can continue to move, but it tells you how many you can launch. And then at the beginning of the game, when you're setting up, you determine how many anti-ballistic missiles you're going to have, and for each one that you purchase, your opponent gets 2 points. So if I was to purchase 10 missiles, he would get 20 points, and so on and so forth. That's only other stuff I really need to mention, but yeah, overall, I give it a thumbs up. You give it a thumbs up?
Yeah.
All right, guys, have a good evening.